Hello, seasoners, and Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Thanks so much for joining me for the start of the fourth season of my first season and the first episode of 2025. My guest today was one of my very first guests, so we only spoke about her first season in that interview. She is back to talk about some key moments from her time in Club Med, and she worked for Club Med from 1985 to 2004 and worked her way up from a hostess to chief of village. She needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. From California, you know her. You love her. The one and only Angie Boucher. Angie, Happy New Year.
Yay, Hong Kong, beep, beep, poop, poop. It's 2025. Woo, woo, woo.
Do you have your party hat on? Okay.
I have my party hat on. I have my party pants on. I have my party shoes on. I have champagne in my hand. Dom Perignon, of course. Woo, woo, woo,
Wow.
2025.
You guys do it right in California. Damn.
Yeah, baby, we don't do it any other way.
Well, thank you so much for coming back. Like I always intended for you to come back. What a better time to do it than start off the new year right, 2025. Because as you know, we only talked about your first season. You were hostess at Turks and Caicos. Listeners, seasoners, I will be posting the link for Angie's first interview. If any of you missed it, it'll be with this interview just under the show notes. So please look for that. And we go into detail about her first season in Turks and Caicos as a hostess. And so now, like I said, Angie, we're back to talk about certain key moments in your career. And one of them you told me about is St. Lucia in 86. What the heck happened there?
Ooh, boy. Well, everything is G-rated, I promise.
Thank you.
So St. Lucia in 86, I was 19 years old and having the time of my life. Jose Eliel was the chief of village, and he just put together a fantastic team. So in St. Lucia, for those who didn't do it, where the Geo stayed, it was totally separate from where the GM stayed. We had bungalows off to the side of the village. And so we basically kind of had like our own private area, and each bungalow had 4 rooms. So if you had like great roommates, you just had like a great time. So having that kind of environment and 19 years old, I just, oh my gosh, time of my life. And I think I took it a little bit too extreme and had to be a little bit reined in. So, for example, is that we kind of started playing gags on each other. And so I think one of my more innocent ones was tying all the water polo hats onto the trapeze net, which, yes, it didn't make the circus guys very happy because I tied them up all the way up on the net and they were, how did you get on the net in the nighttime anyway? I just made friends with the security guard. And of course, then I Hansel, who was there also, who was upset that I was actually took his water polo hats. So he wasn't very happy with me about that, but I did it, had a lot of fun doing it, even though I got a little bit of trouble with that. That kind of started some things. And then between different people, we just continued the gags. So in the animation team, I thought one night it'd be really funny to sit below the theater in St. Lucia has the sound engineer booth that's in the very back of the theater. It's a closed theater, and they had to have windows open when the show was when to watch the stage. So I would sit below the windows and throw things up into the into the cabin. They didn't really like that because then they'd have to close the window and not be able to see the show right. So we started a little bit of a war between us. One night, very, very late at night, at about 4 a.m. in the morning, sleeping in my bungalow with all my friends, and blasted Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA. It felt like it was an earthquake. It's because the sound engineer and the light engineer, they had put underneath my bed, underneath my bungalow, because they were on stilts, the 2 huge speakers from the theater and blasted that at 4 a.m. So that was quite the wake up call. So, me being 19 years old and very, very mature, my retaliation was okay, next show, I'm just going to tie the theater doors together so that nobody can exit the show. Being 19 years old, I didn't realize that that would also lock all the GMs inside the theater, also, and that posed a fire hazard. So, I got in trouble for that one too. And then I think one of the last ones before Jose was like, Angie, I got a call to his office, and there was the head of housekeeping that was there, and she was clearly, clearly upset with me, and probably still to this very day. And he sat me down. He said, Angie, did you put oil and sugar on the Geo toilets? I'm not going to lie. So I said, yes, that was me. And he said, you will have to go clean every single Geo toilet. Geos, when they're sitting down, they're slipping off the toilet. So basically, people were sitting down, our Geos were sitting down their toilets, and they would slide and they would have a sticky butt. So I apologized profusely and said that yes, I'll clean all the toilets. And the head of housekeeping, she was very happy that I was going to be in a lot of trouble. And she walked out the office, and then Jose shook my hand and he said, good job. So
Wait, did he say good job on the toilets? Is that what he said? Or
yeah,
good job?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he shook my hand and said, good job, good job. So he said, just, tone it down just a little bit. So I just said, okay, boss, okay. Yes, 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 okay. And then I had to go clean all the toilets. So that was, my first start of how much fun you can have when you are having a little bit of gags in the village.
Okay. Did these gags follow you to Martinique? Because I see you stayed in the West Indies and you went to Martinique in 86, 87. Or is this like a kinder, gentler, more mature Angie that goes to Martinique?
Oh, absolutely not. How
Okay.
would I be kinder and more mature? I went to Martinique, which was the party village in the American sector. That's when the famous picnics were there. All the stories that were told about picnics that were true. I know, I was there, I participated, I led.
Okay.
So why would I be calmed down when I went from St. Lucia, that was, even though it was a singles village at the time, at the reopening, it had the first season, it closed, and then it reopened again. Why would I be more mature when I'm now going to the biggest party village in the whole US sector?
Yeah, well, you're
So,
practically rewarded for your immaturity. I just realized now what a dumb question.
exactly,
What a dumb question that was. So sorry. My
exactly.
my apologies to anyone listening. Okay.
Exactly. So I get to Martinique, and how I actually got to Martinique was not only did I have the reputation for being immature and having a lot of fun, is that in my first season in Turks, so St. Lucia was my second season, leading a GM show and a GM number. I met a great GM. Her name's Suzanne Devasto, and we're still friends to this very day. I just pulled her up on stage and told me to follow me. She told me she was a choreographer. I believed her, of course. I had no reason not to. We became friends during the week. And so she led the GM show, one of the numbers with me. We did awesome. And so when she went to do her interview, she said, hey, I'd like to go to Martinique. I'd like for Angie to come with me. And the person leading the interview was Michel Verdu. So he agreed. And so I guess he learned about me, and then he then invited me to come to Martinique. And that's how I landed in Martinique. And that's why we are still a group of today, out of about 18 of us, that we are very, very close to this very, very day. So this whole group of us, and Suzanne, Michelle, we're all still in contact to this very day.
Yeah, and some of these friends of yours have also been on the podcast as well.
Correct.
That's right.
And we ruled the village. Yes, we did. We ruled the village with all of our immaturity. And Michelle was very kind to keep us in line. But yes, we ruled the village and had a lot of fun doing so.
Well, I met you first in Columbus Island in about 99, 2000. And then I had the pleasure of working with you again in Paradise Island 2002, 2003 season. When I came there, I think pranks were already in full swing. So I was a bit
Oh, yeah.
behind when I got there. So it seemed like you dusted off the pranks and brought them back, right?
Well, yeah, but actually, pranks kind of continued on, I think, throughout pretty much
Oh,
every village I did.
oh, okay. Sorry. I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
you had
There's a,
taken a break there at one point, but okay.
Oh,
Okay.
never. In fact, I think one of the most infamous breaks, and I won't even say what it was because there was pictures involved, and those pictures have been totally sealed under confidentiality, happened in Lindeman, Australia. And for those who were with me that season, they know what that prank was. I think that was probably one of the ultimate pranks. And I'm going to keep that under confidentiality because we're staying G-rated.
Thank
But
you.
oh no, gag stayed throughout my entire career, the whole time, never stopped.
Yes, I remember you showing me those photos in Paradise. And just so you know, people, the person in question absolutely loved the surprise and would have been
Yes.
offended if they didn't do that. So trust me, but we can't say anymore, but trust me, no one was hurt and that person loved it.
No, not at all. In fact, one of the pictures was the person looking up into the camera with the best smile ever,
Yeah.
loving every minute of it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yes, it was awesome for all involved.
You guys would have been fired if you hadn't done that, put it that way. Okay.
Exactly, exactly.
All right. So we come to, yes, so Paradise. So you assembled a great team there. Very, very, very
Yeah.
great team. But one of them, was it, most of the pranks revolved around the chief animation, is that right? If I'm not mistaken.
Um, he was one of them.
Okay.
He was one that I focused a little bit more on because he was awesome, Leo. The first season, though, I want to clarify, the first season of Paradise Island, to honor those who were present, was a bit of a rough season, just because there was an additional situation that happened that affected big time, big time, big time is out really awful. It affected another geo that was in the village. There was a problem with the security, and Philippe Bourguignon at the time asked me, Angie, what is it that I can do? And I said, let me do what I do best and let me organize my own security team. So I said, I'd like to bring in the head of security that was for Copper Mountain in my last season, who ran all of Copper Mountain security. His name was Seattle Schlu, and Philippe permitting me to do that. So I brought him to Paradise Island, and right away things got cleared up, cleaned up, and the team, we just took off and had a great, great assembled teams. First season was a little rough, and second season was pretty rough, and then second season, that's when things started to really take off into gag territory.
Yes, Leo is the type of guy, he could take a punch. So yeah, he was definitely on board with the pranks, correct?
Oh yeah, correct. Well, we every night you were involved. We would get together at the main bar, about between 7 to 10 of us, and we would break off toothpicks and we
Yes.
would hold them in the hand. And basically, it was a game that you had to kind of like poker. You had to kind of guess who had what in which hand, and whoever was the last person that lost, we decided at the beginning what the gag was going to be, and whoever lost had to do that gag. And if I want to remind you very dearly, Greg, Sushi Bushi Angie never lost once the entire season.
That's no, that's true. And I remember twice I came up with the gag and I lost. I had to do my own idiotic thing, like walk up to you during the fashion show at the pool, fully clothed, grab the mic from you and say, I am a robot, I am a robot, I am a robot, and jump in the pool. And you couldn't say anything else. And it's like, I came up with this and I lost. Like, oh no, but I did it. Okay.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember those moments. I never once. That was around the pool where there were
Yeah.
so many people. I'll never forget
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And of course, the rest of the Geo team didn't know what was happening. So we
Because it
just,
wasn't explained. I just walked up to
right,
you, yeah,
right.
grabbed the mic, that I am a robot.
And every single night, we did something like that. Every single night, the whole season until I left. And so every night there was some weird thing that would happen and nobody had any clue about where it came from. But yes, I was very proud that me with all you guys, I didn't lose once, not once. That was just part of the gags every single night of what we did during that season.
Yeah. But my favorite one, I think, is when I can't remember if Leo went on vacation. Anyway, he was gone for a
Yeah.
week and came back. So if you wouldn't mind telling this one, because this one took some next level organizing.
So Leo went off on his vacation, and to welcome him back, because to this very day, I love Leo. We're still in contact together. He lives in Paris, has his family, his beautiful family. Still trying to get him to come out to the wine country with me, but in any case, I just love to drive him crazy sometimes. And he took it all in fun and actually loved it, and we had so much laughter. So this time I wanted to give him a really warm, sweet welcome on his return back to his Paradise Island family. So upon his arrival, he went to his room. The first thing that he noticed that his doorknob was missing. So he didn't have to use his keys. So he goes to open up his room, which by the way was in the Chief of Village house, which was pretty massive, about 16,000 square feet. That house actually housed some of the chief of services and a couple GOs. I selectively chose who I wanted to be in that house. You were one of them, Greg. So he went back to his room and went to go open the door. There was no doorknob. Not only he went to go open up his actual door, and once he did that, he saw that where was his bed? Where was his dresser? Where was his curtain? Where was his curtain rod? In his room, it was totally empty. There wasn't a stick of furniture. There wasn't anything in the room. Nothing. And then going to the right, he went to the bathroom and there wasn't even a sink. There wasn't a shower head. There was nothing. The entire room was stripped of every single thing that was there. And we thought it'd be really, really lovely to put the whole thing all together, like the room and like the bathroom, like exactly like what it was, near the front entryway lobby entrance.
Yes,
For
I like just to add that Paradise had a perfect circular driveway. So, so that's what made that was icing on the cake, right? Because you pulled up in that circle and everyone saw, whoever arrived. So it was icing on the cake, the fact that it was a circular drive. Okay.
Right. So actually, when Leo arrived, he went so fast his room he didn't even realize. So he's asking like, "Where's all my things? Where's all my stuff?" And he's starting to panic. And somebody said, "Well, maybe you should go to the front desk." So, well, that's where all his stuff was laid out. So he arrived to the front desk, and sure enough, there he was. We welcomed him in true Paradise Island fashion, that everything he belonged and owned, and every stick of furniture, his doorknob, windows, everything was right there waiting for him at the front arrival area. And then following that, because I wanted to make certain that people didn't get comfortable too quickly. So following that, I had to make certain that nobody got comfortable, right? So Eric Baudouin, who was the assistant chief of village, literally like a couple nights later, he walked into his room and there was stapled on his floor, throughout the entire floor in his room, and he was actually in a jam room, thousands of stapled plastic cups, and every paper cup, every plastic cup had water in it.
I love
So when
this
you went
one.
to
Yeah, this is like diabolic, so diabolic, but I love it.
it was
So simple, but yet so diabolic.
when you went to pull on one cup, it pulled all the cups.
Yes.
So you had only one solution to do, was to actually just pull every single cup and totally have a tsunami in the room. So he was so mad at the time. But I tell you, I laughed so hard. I sat outside that hallway when he was inside there, rah, 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 and I just laughed hysterically. It was so funny. And of course, who else was beside me laughing hysterically? Leo.
That's right. Yeah.
Everybody got it. I got it too. So hey, yeah, we had a lot of fun
Did
that season
Goldberg
with the
ever get
gals.
it? I can't recall if Goldberg ever got it. I'm not sure. I'm
Goldberg
sure he caught some strays, but I can't remember what exactly.
pulling a Goldberg, the
Oh,
expression of pulling a
okay.
Goldberg is,
Well, wait. I don't know if he wants us saying this.
oh no, he's okay with it. He
Are
would
you
love it.
sure?
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
Oh,
Pulling a Goldberg is, you have an objective, and when you pull a Goldberg is you go in the eventual result is the opposite of what your actual goal was.
oh, yes, yes, yes,
So
yes. Okay.
yes, the pulling a Goldberg was quite famous, and Goldberg often lost every night, very often. I think, in fact, he probably lost the most with our toothpick game
Yeah.
before dinner every night.
Well, I pulled a few Goldbergs even before I met Goldberg. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah,
Right.
I think we've all been there.
Right.
Oh,
And
more than
because we're keeping things G-rated,
yes.
and
Yes,
um,
thank you.
I
And
think it's best that I don't say
exactly.
those
We'll
things.
just leave it there. But we of course we love our Eric Goldberg more than anything, and all you other seasoners and listeners who worked with Eric,
Yes,
you know how special he is. So
Eric is my brother. In fact, I just went to go see him and stayed at his mother's place about 2 months ago. I've been, like I said, I flew out to do his graduation when he graduated veterinarian assistant. I told him if he did that, I'd fly out to that, celebrate that with him. We talk about once or twice a week. So yes, Eric is my brother. Most people who know me know that we are attached at the hip.
Yes, exactly, exactly. All right. Now, are there any other gags about Paradise before we move on to our next subject?
Yeah, there was one person, I can't remember who it was. We did another room, and I think I know who it was, but I don't think they'd appreciate if I say the name, so I don't think I will.
Okay.
That their room also was disassembled and put on the floating dock.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. The
Yeah,
floating dock.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then actually a nicer gag. This was a nicer gag. I pretended that I was kidnapping somebody who was Eric Baudouin, the assistant chief of village. And of course, he was quite worried due to our reputation in the village. So, plus he was involved in some of those gags, not as much as some of us were, but he was quite worried. But I tied up his eyes; he couldn't see anything, and then brought him through the village, through the where they played the classical music, which is basically like the jungle. He had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and eventually got him onto the dock. And then when I took off the his the eye band, we had the whole geo team that was actually on the scuba boat, and it was to celebrate him becoming chief of village. And I'd pre-organized it with Bahama Mama and Carlos and Charlie's, and we brought everybody over, the whole team over, and paid for everything and celebrated his passing of chief of village. So that was a nice gag.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that one he didn't mind at all, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. Shout out to Eric Baudouin for sure. All right. So this next one subject we're going to talk about, Caesars, is overcoming adversity. So, I worked for a company before Club Med and after Club Med. No matter what company you work for, unless you're self-employed, there are challenges and some adversity. So we're really going to focus on how the challenge was overcome by Angie sharing her story. And it's not to pick on anyone. It's not to pick on any company. There's just adversity and challenges in any job you work at. So would you like to start us off there, Angie?
Sure. And I think this isn't about gossip or about picking. This is more is that never give up on your dreams. It's something to be inspirational to actually anybody and everybody. It's inspirational. It's never give up. Work through your adversity, work through your roadblocks. Nothing is impossible. You just sometimes have to be patient and find the way, and don't let you get yourself stuck in the mud, and just keep going. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, and when you were becoming or trying to become chief of villages, there weren't that many female chiefs of villages, correct?
No, at the time we were, well, at the time as I was trying to become, the first American chief of village female was Andrea Livingston. And then when she stopped, there was no American female chief of village for a while. And there were really at the time, I think only in total six or seven out of about 112. So you can imagine that that already was quite a challenge. And when Philippe Bourguignon, when he became in charge, things had started to change a little bit. The Trigonal period was beautiful for its reasons, and had its challenges. And his was the same thing: is that there were beautiful things and there was challenges. And me, I feel that I was a part of the beautiful pieces of both of those legendary, the Trigonos and also of Philippe. So it started where basically it started where I went to the Paris office to check in. Stéphane Ronat, who I absolutely adore to this very day, I had gone in to check in with him, and he told me where my assignment was going to be. And so I, typical Angie fashion, was like, Stéphane, why is it that I get put in these tough villages to do, but I'm never asked to be a chief of village? And he said, well, Miss Angie, why don't we start by, why don't you go back out and come back in and ask me, Stefan, what do I need to do to be a chief of village? And I thought, oh, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, that's probably right. I probably should do it the polite way. So I walked out of his office and I knocked on the door, and I came back in and I said, Stefan, hi, it's Angie. And he said, oh, hello, Angie. And I said, can we please have a conversation maybe about me becoming chief of village? And he said, sure, we can have that conversation. And it started from there. So it first had to start by me being polite. And that was a really good indication. So that was the actual starting point. And then I went from there into the reopening of Sandpiper, which there was definitely adversity there and challenges. And then after that, then I went to Columbus.
While at Columbus, this is where we meet up. We had a great team there, and you were identified as a future chief of village. You were given, I guess, a task. Would you mind speaking about this task?
Sure, I was given multiple tasks because I actually, in between Sandpiper, where it started there, and eventually I landed in Columbus, as I did Agadir. And in Agadir, I was assigned, there's a separate village, mini village off to the side of Agadir. It was called the Ranch, Le Ranch. And there were 49 male GEs, and there was one female. She was permitted to clean the toilets. So imagine me being American in a Muslim country and in a unionized industry. So that was one of the biggest challenges I had, and it was probably one of the best experiences I have. And to this day, when I'm asked, where would you ever like to preferably live? I always say Morocco, one of my favorite countries in the world because of the people. But then when I landed in Columbus, by that time, yes, we were given the promotional chief of villages, we were 18, and we were given different assignments that we had to do. We had to create the assignment, then we had to do the assignment. So one of my assignments that I was given was I was supposed to create a fundraiser that would help the people of Columbus, San Salvador. And mind you, me, the crazy one, I came up with that idea. Yeah, I could have shot myself later for that. From that, what I did was I got permission to fly to Nassau, and I met up with the assistant of Dominique Collier, who she then got in contact with the oil companies that were on the island in Nassau, so that way we could get some donations to help me with the project. That's how we were able to get the most famous Bahamian band to come to fly to Columbus, and with all their equipment to perform. I sold tickets for the event to everybody on Columbus, San Salvador. The problem was that people who were on San Salvador, if their family member was going to participate, they wanted to be able to arrive for free. But the thing with Columbus is that everybody has family on Columbus. It's a very small island. So basically, it was a hard time to actually sell tickets because every family member wanted to come in for free. And the whole goal was to raise monies so that we could pay for the San Salvador, that's the island, for the basketball team, the youth basketball team, to be able to travel within the islands to be able to play basketball. So yeah, that was a little bit challenging. And for us, it was also to sell our things from the boutique and also for the bar. So it was a really, really major event. We had a line of cars out of the village. That's when I said to myself, oh my gosh, what did I really get myself into? And we eventually got to the point to where the band was able to play. I was able to get the most famous radio station to come and broadcast it live throughout all of the Bahamas. That was also thanks to Sherry, who was the assistant of Dominique Collier at the time. So they were there broadcasting this live. So I had to make certain that everything was well organized. And here we go. We make some announcements. People are introduced. We announce the cause, to send in monies, and the bands. I go ahead and launch the band, and the electricity went out because there was too much power from the band. So the chief of maintenance, who of course wanted to absolutely kill me, had to quickly resolve that issue. We got it resolved pretty fast. He did it excellently. And then the band played, and it was a totally awesome night. I think I finished at like about, and I think you were there for that, Greg, finished at like 4 o'clock in the morning. When I got back to my room, I think I basically passed out, and there was a knock on my door at 6 o'clock, and it was the captain of the basketball team, and he wanted his check. Yeah, that was one of the things that I had to do to prove that I, as a chief of village, is that I could organize something that has a good cause and that could have massive publicity for Club Med and engage multiple people and get the whole village involved. That was one of the assignments that I came up with.
Was your favorite one the Crested Butte one?
Oof. Well, that was another one. So, so the second one that I proposed was that I wrote a thesis on management. So that was the second one, and I did do that. So I did both of them, and it took me about 3 months to write the thesis. But the third task that I was given 3 weeks notice, and it was with Carlos Castro, who I adore. He called me and he said, "Angie," he said, "so are you ready?" And I said, "Sure. For what?" And he said, "Well, the launch of Crested Butte." And I said, "What launch of Crested Butte?" And he said, "The one that you're supposed to lead." And I said, uh, "When is that supposed to be?" And he said, "In 3 weeks." And he said, "You didn't know about it?" And I said, "No. What is this supposed to be?" And he said, "Well, there's going to be television stations, and the village is going to be filled with travel agents, magazine writers, newspaper writers, and everybody that's going to publicize for the launch of Crested Butte." And I said, "Okay, I'm just learning about this. All right. Well, okay, I guess we have some work to do." And he said, "Okay, Angie, what do you need?" And I said, "Can you give me about 5 minutes to think about this and let me call you back?" And he said, "Sure." So I said, "Okay, give me 30." So I went back to my animation team, and of course, everybody's having heart attacks. And I said, "Okay, let's come up with something." So we sat down, we hammered a couple ideas out, and then I called him back 30 minutes later and I said, "Okay, this is a few things that I need. I need a 727 to bring in material. I need to fly to me, myself, my choreographer. We need to fly to Florida like ASAP, like in the next 2 days. We need to be there for 3 days. We need to do some massive shopping, and that needs to be brought in. And by the way, I also need you to get me a snow machine that's going to produce snow in the village. And I need to also have large, huge ice blocks of figurines that are going to be done as well." And I said, "Those are just a couple things." And he was like, "Okay, here we go." And I said, "Yep, here we go." And we pulled it off. We did the launch at Crested Butte with a brand new show that was called "It's So Nice" and apostrophe ice. And everything was based off about snow. And then after that, we had created snow within the courtyard by the pool area. We had ice fixtures. We had fluorescent lights that created it like it was a very cold feeling. Everybody was dressed in white. That was one of the evenings. So, yes, we, for the course of 3 days, and by the way, there was a hurricane that we got a warning 1 week before it started that was supposed to come through. So that had to change the plans a little bit around the pool area. Thankfully, it passed on the side of us. We still got some rain. Of course, everybody wants a hurricane to arrive in a situation like that, but it was an awesome team in Columbus, and everybody just pulled together, and we made it happen. So that was one of the most challenging moments that I had ever had. There were people that were sent in from Paris to watch what was happening in the village to make certain that we weren't doing anything too crazy and we're pulling it together. I learned about that afterwards. Yeah, that was talk about a stressful situation. Yep, yep, yep. I think I lost probably half my head of hair, and the remaining strands that I had turned gray.
When you say launch of Crested, do you mean this is when the village opened for the first time?
No, this was the official publicity that was going to go out for Crested Butte. So basically, we were creating the environment of Crested Butte in Columbus so that when there was a video or when there were pictures, the pictures that we did in Columbus and the videos is what was used for the publicity for when all the publicity that went out for that Crested Butte would be opening. And then Crested Butte opened afterwards.
Okay, but it had already been open, the village?
No,
No? Okay.
no. It hadn't opened yet. This
Okay.
was this was all the publicity, all the pictures and like I said, the videos that had to be created as if we were creating the vibe of what you're going to see or feel of when you're in Crested Butte. So imagine that you're doing that in Columbus in the Bahamas. But we did it, and it ended up being fantastic.
Excellent. Wow. That's so good. Yeah, I just couldn't remember what year Crested Butte officially opened. That's what I was confused about.
It would have been right after that. So I would say 2000.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And then, of course, spoiler alert, past chief of village, right? Because I remember you getting the news while you were in Columbus. So,
Yep. And that was challenging. And that's the inspirational part of it is that, whenever you get in, not whenever, there are some times in life where you'll be in a position where there are going to be people that do not want you to succeed. And there's going to be more people that want you to succeed, and there's going to be people that don't want you to succeed. But the ones that don't want you to succeed, they sting the most because they're the ones that are making your life miserable. And so that happened numerous times throughout my time at Columbus. That was really, 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 really challenging. But there were so many people that wanted me to succeed, that saw my value, knew I was genuine. And those who know me, I don't beat around the bush. I say it as it is, sometimes too much. That's something that I've always had to work on. My heart is I'm a friend for life. Like with you, Greg, we are sister and brother for life. Eric Goldberg, we're sister and brother for life. I'm like that with a lot of people. I've had friendships now. The Martinique gang, we are brothers and sisters for life. There's a lot of people that I have that are my brothers and sisters for life, which is why I'm very passionate about the ForeverGO. We'll talk about that later. But in any case, through the adversity of it was to be a female and to be American, there was also people that did not want that to happen for those reasons. So I was very, very fortunate and very lucky to have people that believed in me, that supported me. One person who believed in me was Philippe Rignon, and he judged me based off of the work that I did and the results that I did. So that was our relationship was out of respect, and that's why I respect him so much. I respected the Trigonos as well, but I was young at that time. I wasn't at a point to even think of becoming chief villager at that time. And then as I was progressing through Agadir, my GEs that I had when I was at the ranch, the 49 men, they supported me 100%. There was many people on the Agadir team. The chief of village was Yves Mangis at the time. I was supported by a lot of different people that helped me get to that position and then helped me through the adversity of it. It was challenging. So when you get into that kind of a situation where people want you to fail and they're going to do everything possible, is you get through the moment. And once you get through the moment, you think of a way of how not to get into that moment again. And I don't want to use examples because they would be the real examples. So I would just say is that when you get into that kind of a situation is get through the moment and then afterwards think of a plan of how you won't get set up again for that situation. And that will get you through the adversity. And through every time you go through over one of those little roadblocks, it teaches you how to get through the bigger roadblocks. And you get through those bigger roadblocks, and eventually you get to the end result. But you have to stay stead strong, and you have to lean on the people that support you. For example, Greg, you were one of them, who I'm indebted to for life. Is that I remember one night we stayed up together where we were planning and strategizing on how I could get out of one of the roadblocks that I was in. I don't know if you remember that. You lean on the people that you know that are genuine, that are there for you, and that you'll be there for them, which I hope you feel that I was there for you years later. So,
yes.
whenever you have somebody that has been genuinely there for you, you should be there for them afterwards, which is why ForeverGO is very, very important. But yes, there was a lot of adversity. It was very hard. It was long. It was adversity for a year. But those of you who want to achieve a dream, go for it. And don't ever, ever let the mean people win. You'll have more people around you that are for you than there are against you. You just have to tap into them and make certain is that afterwards is that you have a way to say thank you to them.
Here. Well said, Angie. And yes, as you know, I did 6 months there. That was a funny season for me because I was already a chief of sport. But as when the winter comes, they don't need as many chief of sports. So I didn't really go to Columbus. But despite everything, that's still one of my best seasons because I met you there. and I saw the challenges you faced. You inspired me to overcome my own. So I could almost always find a silver lining in anything. Maybe it's a dumb talent I have, but
It's a
yeah.
very good dumb talent. In fact, that dumb talent led you and Eric and I afterwards, after our Paradise season, to go to Disneyland, where we took pictures of us underneath the knucklehead board.
Yeah, and we had a great time at Splash Mountain.
Mountain.
Side joke. Okay.
Side joke, another one.
Okay. All right. Now, according to my notes, I'm supposed to ask you about charioting. You worked in Malaysia. Something about a limo? What's going on there?
Oh yeah. So here it's announced in Columbus as a surprise after a show where there's a huge cocktail set up, that the announcement that Philippe Fournier did, he was at Chief Village at the time, which was this very sweet cocktail that he put together. And Angie is Chief Village, and everyone like, ah! It was crazy, great. There was a party in the nightclub and everything. I wanted to say thank you to Hansel for always being there, me also as a support. So at one point, I left the party just to spend time with Hansel. And then 2 days later, I was on a plane heading to Sheraton, Malaysia. Being that I was totally exhausted, I slept on the floor of the plane. I made a deal with the woman. There was one, we were in three, it was a 747, but we had three chairs. And so I told her she could take the chairs if she just let me sleep on the floor. So I got a couple blankets and I slept on the floor all the way to Singapore, 11-hour flight. But in any case, I get to Singapore airport, and then I take another flight, and I land in the Kuantan airport, and it hadn't hit me yet that I was arriving as Chief of Village until I got my suitcase and I'm pulling it through the airport, and I see somebody with the sign, and she looked a little mature, and it was the gestionnaire of the village. And I thought, what is the gestionnaire of the village welcoming me for? And so I asked her what she was doing, and she says, oh, I'm there to greet you. I was thinking, oh my gosh, what is she greeting me here for? And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, Angie, it's because you're coming in as Chief of Village. Oh, is this what the way that it's like? Oh my gosh. So we take a limousine, which, mind you, before that, I hadn't been in a limousine. There was a couple of times arriving in villages. I had to walk to the village because somebody had forgotten that I was arriving. I had to even buy my own ticket from Sydney to Haley. I think it's called Haley, the island that's beside
Hamilton Island.
Hamilton. Yeah, I had to buy my own ticket because they forgot I was coming, and then I had to get on my own boat. I kissed the dock when I arrived. So imagine that I get picked up by a limousine. I was totally surprised, and we pull up to the village, and there's all these photographers, and they're all snapping pictures and everything, and all these people are lined up outside the village, and as the gates of the village open, all the GEO team is lined up, and the GE team, there was about 1,500, 1,200 GEs. They're all lined up, all dressed in white. I was like, whoa, all these people are here for me. Oh my gosh. And we get up, and I'm about to get out of the limousine. I said, all those photographers are there for me. Oh my gosh. And she told me, she said, no, there's 5 Formula 1 teams that are here in the village. They're there. They thought that you're one of the Formula 1 teams. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Okay, so not all of it was for me. So the GEO team was there for me, but not the photographers. So I said, okay, Angie, don't get too excited. So that was my arrival into Sheraton.
Instantly humbled, huh?
Oh, I was totally instantly humbled right away. Don't get ahead of yourself, Angie. Yeah. No, the photographers were not, because I was waving at the photographers, smiling, giving my best smile, thinking that, oh my gosh, I'm like a movie star. Oh, this is wonderful. And little did I know was they all edited me out. So I had nothing to do with the Formula 1 teams with their arrivals.
And what do the words camouflage gecko mean to you? Because they sure as heck confuse me.
Camouflage gecko was because I was the only female American, and the North American Shiva villages, they embraced me as their sister, but sometimes they would pick on their sister sometimes. And even though I love them all as my brothers, and a lot of us, the North American Shiva village at that time, we, over the years, just beautiful relationships came from that. In the Turks and Caicos reunion a couple of years ago, I give a major shout out to Kevin Batt, somebody who actually I love and who I adore. We all just became kind of, most of us became Joe's brothers and sisters to this very day, handled the same thing. I mean, I would do anything for one of those guys. But Camouflage gecko means that as the only female American, I mean, first of all, being female, we were only like 7, and being American at that too, it wasn't always easy being in that position. So what I would do is when I would go to the Chief of Village seminars, is I would make certain that my presence would be seen, and then I would just casually camouflage myself into the wall and then slowly slip out as soon as it was time for whatever meeting was ended. So I kind of made myself a camouflage gecko. I never once took a drink at a Chief of Village seminar. I made certain that I was very respectful at all times. I understood my place. I knew what it was supposed to be. I was not supposed to be out there as some wild, crazy, and being the star of everything. When you're with a bunch of Chief of Villages, it's just better to be humbled. I remember this year, teen arrival. So I just was the camouflage gecko. As I would come out, they'd see me, I'd chirp a little bit, and then I would camouflage myself. I wanted to make certain that I stayed away from, I didn't want anybody to feel that I was trying to take a limelight or shine too much. I try to be very humble during that. So that's what camouflage gecko is. Know when to be a camouflage gecko.
Nice. Great story.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do that in life.
Can we briefly touch on ForeverGO? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So being over 19 years in the villages, Suzanne, who was one of my first people that I met, my roommate, whose name was Maureen, I remembered her to this very day. She took me under her wings. She was from the Bronx. Never forget her, love her to this day, even though we haven't spoke for years. Throughout all the years of being in all the villages, and even in Columbus, Agadir, even Chief of Village, but all those years and all the people that I met, people that became for me friends, brothers, sisters, I just felt that when I got a call one day saying that it was necessary to have some type of a foundation, and it was a Chief of Village, by the way, who called me, a North American Chief of Village, who called me and said that, who was still active in Clement at the time, that it was needed to have some type of support for people after they work for Clement. So once I give my word, I keep that. So I started the ForeverGO Foundation with Lisa Fong. And when we started it, with the thought that it was there to assist GOs, especially when they were leaving Club Med, how to get a job outside of Club Med, with housing, a little bit of that we would provide housing for 2 weeks, and then we provide like a grocery allowance of $100. But what eventually it became was more of, we didn't have any requests for that. What we had requests was just for assistance, just in general. So my passion and why I've invested over $20,000 in it myself, which people don't know about that personally, is because it cost me about $10,000 out of my pocket from the very beginning. It cost Lisa probably about $2,000 out of her pocket at the time. The reason why I did this was because for me, it was a way to give back to all the people that had been there for me and that were maybe going to need a helping hand. So what the ForeverGO Foundation is, it's for everybody worldwide. It's worldwide. It's not just here. C'est mondial. C'est pour tout le monde mondial. And if we can, we will help. If we have the funds, we will help. We've helped numerous people, but we keep that quiet. It's not something to be publicized. The only way we can do it is if we have the funds. So sometimes there are fundraisers. So the next fundraiser, it's coming up in Sedona, first week of February, the first weekend of February. It's going to be a walkathon. We're teaming with the Soulmate family, with Tracy and with Steve Riley, Tracy Nathan and Steve Riley, who they focus with the raising monies for leukemia, but we are partnering up. And for us, it's for the ForeverGO. And I've heard some people say, it's just BS. No, actually, when you're there to be there for somebody who's going through a really tough time, and as I say, we don't publicize it. And why would we publicize it? That's private, right? But there is, behind the scenes, we have a team of 12 people. And part of our team is called the Amigo. We're going to be putting that out on the Amigo program. That's going to be coming out shortly on Facebook. We launched it. We started to speak about and launch it in the last Cancun reunion. That is a program that when anybody needs a helping hand, they need support, or they need to be connected so that they don't feel like they're alone, or that they just in that time, or they're going through this chapter in their life where they need some support. We did a huge selection, and we have 4 people highly trained now, took 2 months of training. Howard McCarley led that. That is part of the foundation. So somebody would like that, the person themselves have to reach out to us, and then we get them assigned with the right people. We'll be announcing the 4 people who they are on Facebook. It's a beautiful thing. It's for support, and we cover English, French, Portuguese, and Spanish. Our hope is to have Arabic also, and to have Japanese and Chinese as well, and every language that is needed, because again, the foundation is worldwide. But the ForeverGO Foundation is a way to say thank you for every person that was in CLEMED, that if you were in CLEMED, you deserve to have a helping hand. And me passionately, why would I invest $20,000? Well, for you, Greg, I would do anything. I would give the shirt off my back for you. I would give my shirt off my back for Eric. I would give my shirt off the back for my Martinique family. I would give my shirt off my back for the St. Lucia team that I had. That was fantastic. Every single season, the Turks and Caicos team, for Hansel Moss, for the Jenner family, for the Jensen family, for Red, for the Canadian gang, the whole Canadian gang. I would give my shirt off my back, my European friends, my French friends, my Chief of Village friends, anybody that has touched my life, I would do that because they made my life better and they helped my life. And yeah, that's a lot of money. I mean, I have a job actually. I have a job where I specialize in dementia and Alzheimer's. I've been doing senior living and executive director for 17 years now. So the foundation is my second job, and it's a lot of work, but that's the reason why I do that, and that's the purpose of that. So the ForeverGO page, it's important that people go on that, because the ForeverGO page on Facebook, that's where we do everything. We don't have any other thing other than that one, because it's just centralized there. But it's important that people know is that you were GO, so you would be supported. And if you want me to, I can just briefly touch on the Association des CDV, the Association of Chiva Village.
Yes, please.
So that was we did a live Zoom call not that long ago. That was basically, we did it for around the world. We may redo it again for Asia, but the Chief of Village has an association. And basically what that is the Chief of Villages, if they join and they have to pay, they pay a monthly amount, which is 45, or a yearly amount of €45, which also goes towards fundraising for different things, for whatever may happen for an emergency. But basically it's a really beautiful network that if there's employment that is needed, that the Chief of Villages say, hey, there's a job opening here, here, here. Can you put it out to your group of friends or to your people that, hey, we have a job opening here, here, and there. And then that way there can be a network so that if ex-GOs need to have a job, that the ex-GOs, they can have a job. We're not trying to take people away from CLEMED today. It's especially for ex-GOs that if you have somebody that is looking for work, well, here you go. And it's for all levels, whether you're a Chief Village, Chief of Service, responsable de voile, you were GO boutique, GO bartender, that it's a network to try to help with employment. And then say, for example, if there's a large emergency like an earthquake somewhere, is that they would try to raise monies for that to help out, to help out the city. So it's in the development stages, but that's what that is for. And there's a Facebook page for that also, for the association, the club on the Facebook page. So let me give you the exact name to make certain that people know exactly what that's for. You have.
Well, we could add any link you wish to the show notes, and then people could.
It's called the Club Chef de Village. Club CHEFS, Chef DE de Village. And you can join that as well. And of course, the ForeverGO page, ForeverG.O. pour Toujours, which is, we wanted to make certain to combine that in French and English because it's worldwide.
Yeah, we will be putting links to that. So seasoners, don't forget, after you listen to this episode, please check out the links in Angie's show notes. And one more question for you, Angie. It's come to my attention. There's going to be a 75 years of CLEMED reunion in Opio in April of 2025. Will we see Angie Boucher there?
Of course you will, because Miss Sushibushi, being want to make certain that I'm one of the faces of the ForeverGO, and I'm on the board of director for the the club for the chief of villages, the Association des Chefs du Village. I want to make certain that people know is that I walk the talk. I'm there, I'm present, and of course is that I want to reconnect. That's the mission of the ForeverGO, is that we always want to keep people connected. Definitely, I'm going to be there to reconnect with people and to, be the voice out there that, hey, you've got people out there that care about you, love you. And of course, want to have some fun. Nothing G rated. So it'll totally be G rated.
Sure.
And plus, is I lived in the south of France for 4 years, so I know it pretty well. So yes, I will definitely be there, and it's going to be great. That is the first reunion worldwide. We tried to do it in Cancun, and we did get a lot of people in Cancun, but this really is to collect people, everybody worldwide. And it's the 75th year. So that's actually really beautiful. So I would highly encourage anybody who wants to attend a reunion to definitely come. Even if you're going to be there for just a couple of days, you can get some very inexpensive flights to Paris. You could take the train down to the south of France, or you can take EasyJet. If the village is too expensive, you can do Airbnb beside. There's a lot of different choices. There's very inexpensive hotels and clean hotels that are in that area. Anybody needed to know, you can write me on Messenger. Again, my name on Facebook is Angie Boucher, Boucher. If you're friends with me, you can send me a message and I'll let you know some of the hotels. I lived there for 4 years. And I know Opio also been there also. So yes, that'll be a very beautiful event to go to.
Only have one question. Will our old bar beads or bar booklets be accepted? I'm just kidding. Come on. Come on. I'm joking.
And you and I still have them in our dresser
I
drawers.
do. I do. I do. Well,
Even the white ones
yes. The white ones. Yes.
and the brown ones
Which usually wound up in the pool filter. Yes. The white. Yeah. The white ones. Yeah. Okay.
and the brown ones
Yes.
that was worth a penny.
That's right. Oh, Angie, it was so nice for you to come on again, agree to come on again and share your story and parts of your career with us at Club Ed. So I really do want to thank you from the bottom of my heart again for doing this.
Love you dearly. Anytime. I love you. Love our friends, love our family, and have everybody got a little bit of chuckle out of some of those gags. It's very funny. If you want a few more, just messenger me. I won't give out names, but I'll happy to share 19 years of gags. But yes, and happy New Year's to absolutely everybody. 2025 is going to be the year for everybody.
You heard her. So it's time to start it right. Thanks again.
No.
Yeah, no. Okay. Thanks to my guest, Angie Boucher, and we'll see you, Angie Boucher. And we will see you here all next week with another episode of my first season. Thanks again. Here's what we say. Bye, everyone, Angie. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Au revoir.